Hey everybody, how you doing tonight?
You?
Great.
Okay.
Better than that guy.
I've got, yeah, I know, right? Didn't shard your pants. So I have a story, and it goes like this. This is a true story, and I'm not changing the names, because if I change the names, it'll get all screwed up. And if you guys know these people, just call them and tell them I told the story. It's so long ago. This happened back when there was no, I didn't have a cell phone. Nobody had a cell phone. And we didn't have internet, okay? I mean, I spent half my life without internet. When you wanted to friend somebody, you just found out what bar they went to. And you went to that bar. When you wanted to unfriend them, you just stopped going to that bar. Or you had your brothers beat them up and they stopped going to that bar. So anyway, I used to hang out at this bar over on Southeast 59th and I-35. It was called the Rhinestone Cowboy. And I dated a trucker. And he worked for Scrivener, and he had an overnight run. He was a Teamster back in the day, and that was a bad boy. I mean, so he had an overnight that night. So it was January, and back then it snowed in January, and we had snow on the ground, and the roads they were clear. We could go places, and I lived out in Mustang, and my parents lived across the street from me. I have a sister who's 10 years younger than me. Don't have a sister 10 years younger than you if you can help it. It's a pain. So, it is. It truly is. So, you'll find out why. So, she decides she wants to go over to the Rhinestone. And I said, okay. And she said, I'll drive my car. Okay. I thought, okay, she can drive. So, we get over there. She starts drinking. She meets this cowboy, and he's about 6'5", and he weighs probably 350, 400 pounds. Okay, she's dancing away, having a great time. I don't care, she's having fun. So I meet this guy, and I just want to dance. His name was Chris, and he was beautiful. He was tall and blonde and beefed, just beautiful, but he wasn't real smart. And we were dancing, and he had his nose in my hair, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, your hair smells like strawberries." And I said, thank you. And he says, I haven't touched a woman in 10 years.
Oh, God.
I said, really? So, yeah, I just got out of prison. You know what? I'm telling you. He was hot.
What was the charge?
I don't know. And then he starts trying to sell himself to me. And he pulls out this ticket from the pawn shop, and he had bought a bunch of tools. He was a mechanic. And he said, I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to go straight. I'm going to do this. And it was really cute. You know, it was very sincere. But then this guy approaches us who's about 5'2" and looks like a rat. And his name is Morris. That was his cellmate. And he had gotten out like 2 weeks earlier. So he actually told Chris what to do. He was like in charge. So I thought, okay, now we're in trouble. Because they were hanging on together, it was like together. So my sister tells me, I'm going home with Cliff. And I'm like, okay, I have no car. Well, you just go with those guys. I'm like, no, I'm going home with you guys. Well, we're going to his house. He lives in Midwest City. I'm like, oh, okay, no, I'm going with you guys. And she goes, well, call Dad. Well, there's snow. My dad lives in Mustang. Now, those roads out there are no good. And it's by this time, it's like 2 in the morning. And I'm like, I'm not calling Dad to come to the bar and tell him that you're going home with this guy. So, you know, anyway, it was a big mess. So I go to Cliff. I think she's totally whacked. So I go to Cliff. And Cliff says, well, we're all going to Mama Lou's. So we went to Mama Lou's. We got over there, and they were telling me, just go with these guys. And Morris picks up my chain, and I wear a cross. I've always wore a gold cross. And he says, is that real gold? And I said, yes. And he starts to act like he's going to jerk it. So the big cowboy finally says, you're not going home with them. He said, get your hands off of her. You're not going home with them. You're coming with us. So I end up in Midwest City in a bachelor's apartment while my sister and this guy are off doing their thing. Before Cliff and her went to the bedroom, he said, I have a roommate. He said, but I don't think he'll be home tonight. And if he does come home, he's very nice. and he won't bother you. I said, okay. So they have this bachelor's couch that has all these big lumps in it, okay, and it's cold. And they have a little fire that's about to go out. And I can't sleep, I have no pillow, but I'm not complaining because I am not with these other guys. And so all of a sudden, I'm going in and out of sleep, and my head is facing the door. And all of a sudden, the door opens, and I know you're not supposed to call them midgets. It's supposed to be little people nowadays. This little tiny cowboy comes in, and he is drunk off his butt. And he's like by himself, he looks at me and he goes, oh, a woman right here on my own couch. I'm like, oh, okay. And I heard he had a waterbed, and I'm so cold.
Oh my God.
I'm so cold. So I said, he sits down, he talks to me for a while, and I talk him into letting me sleep in his waterbed. And I said, I don't want to have sex or anything, I just want to sleep in your waterbed. He goes, oh, I know it's cold out here. And he's like, go ahead, and so we were in there, and I was like, really, no, I just wanted to be in your waterbed. So we go over there, and of course he jumps on top of me. And that's like, toss the midget. And then he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So then he goes to sleep, and he starts snoring. This real loud snoring. And in my head, I'm thinking, I wonder what a midget's packing. The days before internet. Even right now, how do you find that out? And I'm thinking there, my head is just going, how will I ever know? This is my one chance in life. If I don't check right now, I will never, ever, ever find out what this guy is packing. What a midget is packing. So in a minute, it's very impressive even for just a regular guy. But anyway, so when we woke up in the morning, he did not know what had happened. He just knew there was a woman in his bed. But when we woke up, his whole room was done in circus stuff. And he had all these little, I guess it's genetic. This is no internet, I found this out. There's these little pictures. You know how people had those little black and whites of their grandparents? They were all circus people, and they were all little, and so anyway, he didn't know, and my sister's a lazy ass, so I don't know what to do. I just want breakfast. I'm hungry at this point. So I just keep smiling at him. Did you have fun last night? So he makes me breakfast. He gets this little stool out and he makes me breakfast. My sister comes out, she starts laughing so hard. It's like, but anyway, hindsight. Don't ever ride anywhere with somebody if you don't have a way out. You need to take your own car. So that's my story. That's my lesson. Thanks, guys.